Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I'm going to teach you guys how to take your Scourge mapping juice levels to the next level. You're going to be making way more money after watching this video, and it's going to be even more insane. That's right, we didn't think it could get any crazier, but it just keeps getting crazier. So let's get into it, and the main meat of the topic is going to be that Watchstones apply to Scourge maps and their rewards. As you can see in the background here, I'm getting full emblems from my Scourge monster rewards, and it is completely insane. But hang on, should it apply like this? Is it actually allowed? Absolutely. Obviously, when I heard about the fact that pure emblems were dropping off Scourge monsters, I had to check if this was okay, because it sounds just completely ridiculous, and it's pretty, OP. So I decided to hit the devs up and ask them whether this was intended, and they said, yep, thumbs up, all modifiers are intended to apply to Scourge maps. We'll come back to that in a minute here, but it's fair to say that this was intended, and it is allowed, so, obviously, get in the action, start juicing it up. Alright, so obviously there's a ton of Watchtone modifiers which could have an effect on the actual Scourge maps themselves. And it's also fair to say that the Scourge maps themselves are also a little bit buggy. There's all sorts of stuff that's going on which is a bit wacky and weird, with monsters not spawning, with Simulacrum Splinters not spawning if you do a Delirium Mirror, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's all not working as intended yet, I imagine. But it's fair to say that this interaction is all good and it is working as intended. So, Emblematic. Let's quickly go over what that means and what it is. Just in the background here, though, to give you guys a bit of a summary of what went down, I got 3 full emblems and I totaled 976 timeless splinters from this one map, which I had baked up to 10 and had 8 timeless splinter rewards. So we'll go in game and let's get into the juicy stuff, shall we? So we'll close that off and we'll jump in. So the Watchstones in question, let me take you through them. So we got some Platinum Glenich Cairns Watchstones here, and they've been rolled with Emblematic. Timeless Splinters dropped in areas have 0.1% chance to drop as Timeless Emblems instead. Obviously, you can rock 4 of these bad boys, giving you 0.4% chance to drop in Timeless Emblems instead. Now, in addition to that, you can also juice those up with 25% chance from Seekers of the Stones, giving you a 0.5% chance in total, which is pretty cool. Now, with that 0.5% chance, though, it works a little bit different than you might think, and it's way more powerful than you might think. So that 0.5% chance is per splinter, even in a stack. So if you drop a stack of 20 splinters, it's 0.5% chance every time. So, if you drop 100, it's going to be 0.5% on 100 times, which is obviously way stronger than it would be otherwise. So if you do the math, it's about 1 full emblem per 200 splinters you drop. So in that map before I dropped, obviously I got 3 full emblems, so that would be 676 splinters. So that's about on average what you should expect, and that's well within the kind of the mean kind of result there. So it's absolutely crazy how much the splinters you kind of like amp it up, and overall it's going to be about 50% more loot from your timeless splinters when you actually average it out, because obviously every 200 you get 100 free, which is pretty damn sweet. So rolling with Emblematic Watchstones is a no-brainer, and obviously there's other Watchtone modifiers which are going to juice up your content even more as well. Okay, so we know we want the Watchstones, we know they're insane. Let's talk a little bit about where you're going to want to get them and how you're going to get them. Okay, so let's talk about where you're going to want to get them first. So in my video, I kind of talk about maps that you might want to kind of be scourging up, and we also talk about maps that you want to might be kind of scourging up to sell as well. And the map that I've pitched here is Haunted Mansion. It's easily accessible, we know it's got good rares, and it's got a pretty damn good layout as well. So when you're making your Watchstones, obviously it's a massive investment, and you'd want to get the most bang out of your buck as possible. So you kind of want to put your Watchstones where everyone else is putting their Watchstones, so that you can kind of leverage the market. If people are all scourging Glenich Cairn maps, and you want to buy maps from the people who are scourging them to run yourself, you're going to have your Watchstones in Glenich Cairns. Obviously, if everyone's scourging a different region, you'd want to have your Watchstones there. But I think everyone's kind of starting to kind of establish the fact that Glenich Cairns is kind of the place to be if you want to be scourging up maps. We haven't heard of any other better map to scourge that's accessible, which has reasonable count and a good layout, other than Haunted Mansion. So I think that's kind of going to be the area area which most people go for. So I would recommend rolling or acquiring your Watchstones in Glenage cans, because you're also going to get the juice from beyond, which can really, really help out with running the Scourge maps as well, which overall is a pretty good experience. Okay, so now we've established where we want to roll them. Let's talk a little bit more about how you can acquire specifically the emblematic Watchstones, because they're actually not as expensive as you'd want to think. So if we come over here and we take a look at this, and we take a look at how expensive they are, they're actually pretty cheap. They're like 1 exalt for the whole Watchtone. So, 4 exalts. And the thing about Watchstones, which is really cool, is, okay, let's say it's 4 exalts, you buy them, but, they don't ever go down in value. So you're going to sell them again, and it's just fine. There's no problems with it, and, it's pretty easy. You're not actually losing any money. You're investing, and then you kind of use them, you make your money back, and then you can sell them on later if you don't want to do it anymore, which is pretty awesome about Watchstones. I personally am hanging on to mine though, because it's just so insane. 50% more loot is pretty good. Okay, so let's dive in though, and let's talk about how you can acquire them through rolling them. So obviously you can use the alteration augment method on the platinum Watchtone bases. That's going to cost you about 62 chaos here, which obviously isn't ideal, but there are a few other mods which you might want to be rolling at the same time. So it can be possible that you might want to roll them yourself as well, but obviously it's a sure bet and saves you time to just buy them as well. Anyway, okay, so now that we've talked about where you want to get them, how you want to get them, and obviously that it's pretty much a no-brainer that you do want to get them, let's talk about some of the other modifiers which you could use to juice up your Scourge maps and really, really get an edge in the endgame. Obviously with the money making as well. So obviously there's tons of different things that drop from Scourge, and from the devs, they've said that they intend for everything to work and apply. Now that's actually not the case. I've tested a bunch of different modifiers, but let's just go over the ones which pretty much do work first of all. So Emblematic has a sister modifier, which is pretty much exactly the same wording, and in functionality exactly the same as well, and that is the Breach modifier. So the Breach modifier is just basically the same thing, but it applies to breach splinters instead. There would be absolutely zero reason for this not to work exactly as Emblematic does, and for that reason, I'm pretty much happy saying that it probably will work, because there'd be no reason not to. I imagine it's the exact same code. And as such, you can amp up your Breachstone drops as well. 50% more Breach Splinters from your Breach Splinter Scourge maps. And, you get Chayula, Ulnatul, all of them. They're pretty good. And Breachstones are, reasonably in demand. They're all over 10 to 12C, pretty good. And obviously you hit Chayula, you're going to make big cash there as well. So nice. Obviously, Breachstones aren't as good as emblems, but they're pretty damn good in the end. So you're definitely going to want to have a set of these as well if you can get your hands on them. I currently don't. For some reason, they're really rare, but, I'm going to get them eventually, and I'm going to be rolling with them. So those two absolutely will be working. Let's talk about some more fringe cases, though, which you might want to look into, if they were to work. So the other one that you might want to juice up is Simulacrum Splinters, and I had this idea as well. So the Simulacrum mod is 8% increased stack size of Simulacrum Splinters found in areas. Very, very vague and generic. You'd think that this would work on anything, and when you add it all up, it would be 40% increased stack size of Simulacrum Splinters, which, should work. However, it doesn't work, unfortunately, which is a bit confusing because the devs specifically told me that everything should work. I think this is probably a bug, and I would advise you, if you did roll these, just hang on to them for now, because I imagine this is probably just a bug, and they probably do want this to work in the long run, and I'm going to make sure that, I submit a bug report with this one, because I think it'd be nice if it did work, and it sounds like it should work. And obviously if it did, 40% increased juice, that's going to tip the scales. On average, if you get 5 stack of the splinter one on your map, you get about 200 splinters. This is going to tip you all the way over the edge into getting a full simulacrum if you had the full 4 Watchstones in, which would be pretty damn cool. Okay, well, let's talk about another one here. Let's talk a little bit about Expedition, because Expedition's obviously there as well. It drops the vendor refresh currencies, and there's a modifier for that too. It's pretty damn rare, but it is obviously there, and it is very, very good. So 20% increased quantity of vendor refresh currencies dropped by monsters in areas. Pretty sweet. Now, if you did the math on this, and you kind of figured it out, if you get to 100%, which you can do using the Secrets of the Stones Atlas passive, you can pretty much double your money from Expedition. That's what it says. However, this one unfortunately doesn't work either. I tested this one using unique Watchtones. So you can see here I got 39% increased quantity and 60% quantity here. And the way I did this is I used the 25% Atlas passive to exceed 100%, and it unfortunately didn't double the expedition currencies. But again, I advise you, if you roll this, do not roll over it. I think it's just a bug. They said that they wanted everything to work, and this not working is definitely a little bit peculiar when Emblematic does. So I would definitely hang on to those as well if I was you. So overall, pretty cool. Now, there are a few other fringe ones here that might work in the end. The only other one I want to highlight here, because I think it could be good, in these cases, is the oil one. So there is one which says that oils in areas have a % chance to be 1 tier higher. Now, I haven't tested this at all, but I imagine it could work. I don't know if it works right now. It might be bugged like Simi and Expedition, but it could be good. Obviously tiering up all the oils by 1 tier, 100% of the time as well when you get all the Watchstones in. I believe it's 100%. Let's do the math on that real quick. 16 times 5, 80% of the time. Well, that's going to be pretty damn good, because that's basically, that's not just 80% more oils. That's because you've got to factor in the fact that you can combine 3 to get the next one. So it's over triple, well, it's like triple oils pretty much, which is pretty insane. So that's very good. And it's pretty nice. And if it does work, maybe oil farming is a viable strategy from the Scourge maps, because you can get a lot of oil on there as well. Any oilers? Nah, okay, so that's pretty good. Now, of course, there's other stuff in here too. I haven't done like an extensive look through here or anything like that, but it's fair to say that there's weird things afoot. Not everything works as intended, but there's certainly things that are going on which do make your rewards way higher. So definitely dig deep, look in there, take a look around and, try and figure it out. Pretty much the main ones we know though, Emblematic and the Breach one, pretty much definitely work. Obviously, if you find anything else that works, please let me know, and I'll report on that as well. But those are pretty damn sweet. So there's a few other things, though, that you can do with Watchstones to juice up your Scourge mechanic on the other side of the fence. So we were trying to figure out how to make sure that we could get way more Scourge juice in the baking oven. So basically, how to fill this bar as fast as possible. Well, we had to hit the tank. Go for the thinking tank, man. What were we going to find? So, obviously, not many things affect Scourge monsters in the Scourge dimension. And all we care about is finding the map, as well as the means to maximize the amount of monsters in the Scourge dimension so we can Scourge maps as fast as possible, because they're by far one of the best ways to make currency right now. Well, the thing that I settled on is increased pack size Watchtone modifiers. This pretty much definitely works because it's the exact same mod and stacks additively with map pack size. And I can pretty much guarantee that it works because I've seen the results. I went from getting like 220 to 240, pretty much every time on an Alkengro Underground Sea, to getting 300 pretty much all the time, pretty much every time, with shifting and spam shifting, which is pretty damn good. Obviously, the difference between 220 and 300 is massive. That's like another quarter to 1/3 of a level on your map, per map that you're running, which is massive for just a passive, Watchtone that you're putting on there. Now, obviously, these are not super common. Specifically, the 3%, the 3%ers have a weight of 5. So don't try and go for 3%. They just don't exist. I have one, and I've been whooping them for a few days now. Go for 2%. They're just fine. I'm actually missing one here. I have it in my inventory. So overall, which is 2%ers, you're going to get 8% increased pack size, which is pretty damn good. Just to give you guys kind of like a bit of an anecdotal here, a map which you just put in, which is alt. It generally doesn't have that much pack size. It has like 22% pack size here. That's like a weak one. Let's juice it up a little bit more. Okay, so this one has 23% pack size. So generally, the highest you're going to get is like 40-ish. If you vol the map, let's see if we can get a vol map here. So this one's got 42% pack size. And then you're getting an additional 8 pack size. So it's like almost like voling your map every time. And that pack size does in fact apply to the Scourge monsters, and the better the map, obviously the more pack size is going to apply, and it's just going to give you way more Scourge stacks. So if you're not doing any specifically Atlas strategy while you're Scourging up your maps, it's probably worth it to chuck some pack size modifiers on there, and start really juicing up the meter and really trying to get as much Scourge juice as possible. Now, of course, there's some other funny things that you can do with Watchstones here, though, which are pretty damn interesting, and we'll get into prophecies in a second here. There is, of course, pack size, which can also work on the other side of the spectrum with the Scourge monsters, but there's also rare monster modifier here. 5% more rare monsters, which is pretty damn insane. And if you combine that with a 25% increased effect, obviously that's, I think, going to be 24% more rare monsters. So, you know, if you're going to get 10 rare monsters in your map, maybe now you're getting 12. On your actual your map there, which is pretty insane. So you're probably going to want to have a pack of these if you're doing any off-meta kind of reward types. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe you're rolling in there with like some fossils or some stacked decks. The Watchtone of choice there is probably going to be more rare monsters, and you probably want to scoop some of them up because they're going to be really effective and give you more rare monsters. Because obviously, these things do apply to the Scourge dimension, and if they don't, it's probably a bug, because the devs said that everything should apply. So of course, like traditional pack size works here, but more rare monsters is always better because it's a more multiplier. So it's not additive with the pack size, it multiplies the pack size, which is pretty damn awesome. So yeah, you should definitely be rolling your maps as well as possible, and then maybe getting some more pack size or more rare monster kind of mods in there as well. That's going to be really, really juicy. So obviously, there is some other stuff that you can do here as well. But you know, it's pretty advanced and pretty niche. Those are the main ones, and that's going to be where you're going to be getting the most juiciness. Okay, so next up we have prophecies. So these are pretty weird and archaic kind of items here. They're kind of events that you can trigger in maps, and there is actually one called Rebirth. So Rebirth basically says that you slay a normal foe and it'll be resurrected as a rare with a Nemesis mod. So the normal monster can be any monster and it can trigger. And this is a prophecy I believe you can use multiple times a map. And basically people are saying, I haven't confirmed this, we'll probably get some people in the comments saying whether this works or not. People are saying this works in the Scourge dimension and it creates a Scourge rare. And if this is the case, this is obviously ridiculous. It means you can generate, you know, tons more rare monsters per Scourge map, and it means that you can like get really insane with your rewards. I'm not 100% sure if this works. It's kind of a bit weird. Obviously, I've confirmed Simulacrum and Expedition don't work, but I haven't confirmed this yet, so that'll be down to you guys to do a bit of science, but it's pretty damn interesting. Now, there is also another prophecy, which I believe does interact with rare monsters. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but people were also saying that works as well. Now, I can confirm that the split or the mirrored rare monster sextant doesn't work, and I can also confirm that there are a few weird things afoot. When you jam too many things in a map, like strongboxes, monstrous treasure, anything like that, it can cause less rare Scourge monsters to spawn, but there's all sorts of weird little interactions that are going on. Anyway, one last thing I wanted to settle on here, guys, is the Scourge map market. I think people are horribly undervaluing their Scourge maps, and it's definitely a little bit unfortunate. So recently I've been searching Scourge maps just to make a bit of extra cash on the side, and I thought I'd share with you guys my method here and kind of maybe hopefully give you guys a bit of insight into how to make money on it, both buying and selling. So you can see here my search is set to Greenwich cans, and that's because that's where my Watchstones are. You know, if I want to juice up my my Scourge maps, I'm going to want them to be in Glenwick. So obviously if you're Scourging maps, you know, and you want me to buy them, for example, they're going to need to be in Glenwick. So make sure you're Scourging maps which are appropriate for the meta, which looks to be Greenwich cans, but you know, we'll see how it all shakes out. Okay, so I've got a Whoop right now set to Rare Monsters Drop Legion Splinters, which obviously synergizes fantastically with Emblematic, made a lot of money off that. Scarabs, Simulacrum Splinters, and Expedition Currencies. Basically, all I do is I search for the things here, and you can do a little bit of math in your head, but it's fair to say that a lot of these things are horribly undervalued. So, you know, obviously four Breach Splinters here, and it looks like it's reasonably doable. Just to do a little bit of napkin math here, I'll help you out, guys. So 4 Breach Splinters, 4 times 3 times 10, that's 120 times 1.5 for the Watchstones, 180 splinters. Let's say that they're all tall splinters. So that's going to be times, what is that? Divided by 100 times, I think it's 12. So already, just off of the tall splinters, if they're all tall, I get no Chayula nor the tall, and and that's it. You know, if I get average luck, I get 21.6 C back. And this also has Simulacrum Splinters on there as well. And Simulacrum Splinters obviously are very, very good. which is obviously pretty sweet. So if we kind of look at that, let's add the simulacrum splinters on there as well. You can kind of, I'm just trying to show you guys how to add this up. So you get 4 simulacrum splinters on average in your simu stack. So it's 3 times 4. So we get 12 per stack on average, and we get 10 rares. So 120 there, and I think simulacrums are 1 exalt right now. So 96 96 divided by 300. Oh, that's not right. 96 divided by 300. And then times, what do we get? 120. And then we obviously add on the breach splinters there, which is a 60C already. Like, these people are horribly undervaluing these. It's crazy. And then the incubators are on top of that. With just average luck, using some Watchtones and, just, juicing it up a little bit, it's completely crazy how awfully undervalued some of these are. You're doubling the money of this. Now, that means it's obviously very profitable, especially when you start getting into Legion splinters. And of course, if you factor in getting Cellular and Ululatul, and you get a bit of a lucky hit, it gets even better. But there's definitely a lot of money to be made from these maps here. So overall, this is kind of what I've been doing. You can whoop them, you can set a max in. So my max buyout price is 40C, but you should definitely be, looking in the market. Maybe if you get a good one, which you can't do, sell it. Maybe if you want to like figure something out and you can kind of give a bit of an edge, maybe buy them. It could be pretty lucrative on both sides. And there's definitely going to be an economy that forms around buying and selling. I'm going to go and stick my flag in the ground and say Glenage Cairns is the place. So if you're buying and you're selling, pick Glenage Cairns. It'll make it easier for everybody. And then make sure the Watchstones you have obviously reflect that. Obviously, if someone finds a better map, that might swap. But right now, Glenage is the place. And it's definitely a reasonable, good place to farm. So overall, those are going to be my tips, how to get an edge, and the Watchstones are obviously insane. If you guys find anything else out, let me know. Always willing to test stuff out and try it out. But everything's looking pretty juicy, and as we predicted, Scourge is definitely one of the most rewarding mechanics we've ever had, and it's just only getting started. The min-maxing continues. So until next time, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you learned something new, make sure to like and subscribe. But until next time, cheers.